Why is it that in Poland customer service sucks so bad? Have you noticed? You go to get a service and it almost feels as if you're ruining someone's day by the fact that you just need to ask some questions. On this video, I'm gonna explain to you the psychological reasons, the historical reasons why this happened. And believe me, some of these will really surprise you. Boom! Boom! Cześć ludzie! What's up people? Hola, JT here. Welcome to another episode. I am always championing for Poland. Telling everybody that they should come, they should visit this. You know, my family, friends. I've had my fair share of visitors come. My dad, my mom, my mother-in-law, friends of mine, and they all agree that Poland really surprised them. Clean, modern, really, like one of the biggest surprises for anyone that has never traveled outside of, let's say, Western Europe is literally Poland. But the one thing that they really ask me is, what's up with the customer service? And that's the one where I don't really have a direct answer for them. Poland is ahead in many things, but the one thing that Poland is still living in the 80s is customer service. The Americans changed the game when it comes to customer service. In the US, you can approach anybody at a store and literally ask all the questions that you want, and that person will answer you with a smile. They will go out of their way to make sure that you leave that store thinking nothing but the best of this business. But before I continue and give you the answer as to why Poles are different than Americans in that regard, we have to talk about the first reason, and it's a historical one, as to why customer service here sucks. The first one is, I think, obvious. Communism. For 50 years, Poland was under a system in which customer service just did not exist. It was a foreign concept, a concept that belonged to the West, to the other side of the Iron Curtain. There were no shops competing for the customer's attention. They were not trying to reel you back in with nice gestures and big smiles like you would see in American films. Probably there was one store, and you were lucky if they even had what you need. You were the one that needed them. They did not need you. I've heard all the stories that lines and queues were sometimes for days for people to get a piece of meat or to get fresh bread. You will go in and the ladies, they were not having a better day than you were. Yeah, you just stood in line for 8 hours, but it's not like their day was much easier. They didn't have a reason to smile. So at the end of the day, psychologically, this affects human beings because when you every day are faced with a certain emotion or lack thereof, you start to mimic it. Otherwise, you are the odd one out. But there's also another element that comes with this. If you are the person that is cheerful and happy and talking to everybody, hi, nice to meet you, thank you for coming, and everybody else is not behaving like that, then what do you want? Which leads me to the next point. Polish skepticism. Poles are really, and when I say really, I want to put it here in big letters, really famous for being skeptical. They don't trust things at face value. They just don't believe things before they either prove it themselves, before they try it, and even sometimes as they try it, they're gonna be like, it is what it is. And understandably so. This is centuries of partitions, of wars, of betrayal, and they have developed deep inside a sense of skepticism, and especially they don't trust when somebody looks a little bit shady. And to them, sometimes, smile that is not earned, a smile that is not genuine, is fake. And when you go into a Walmart and you have a lady that says to you,
hello, good morning, how are you today? I hope you're having a great day. How can we help you?
To a Pole, this is fake as shit. So they have a very high reluctance to putting on a fake smile. To them, this is not a way to make a customer feel good. They cannot get over the fact that this doesn't feel right to them, to the person that is paying the service, right? They are not really thinking about the customer. They're thinking that if I am not having an amazing day, why am I going to put up this face as if I'm pretending to have an amazing day. It literally enrolls the Polish people mentality when it comes to things like this. The problem lies in the fact that there's a disconnect in how Poles feel and trying to be true to who they are and not be fake, and what research has shown and proven over and over and over that works with us human beings. We simply like being treated nicely. As a matter of fact, if you're a Pole living abroad for a longer span of time, you will notice when you come back to Poland that it feels freaking rude. But when you're here on a day-to-day basis, you don't think there's nothing wrong with it. You're just being honest. But maybe you're just being rude. The next one still baffles me after all these years and is, to this day, a point of argument in my marriage. And that is efficiency over politeness. In Poland, being direct is being professional. Why waste people's time? You're actually even being respectful in Poland if you are blunt, straight to the point, and you don't waste someone else's time with small talk. They ask you a question, you go to the point immediately. Let me tell you, this is very difficult depending on the culture that you're coming from. Latin America, we're going to prioritize politeness. Somebody would rather sit and wait a little longer whilst they're being treated right and nice and pleasant, to the opposite option, which is somebody coming in telling you, we don't have this you're looking for, and you're going, okay, well, thank you, bye. You're out. You're like, whoa, that was nice. That was a fast interaction. I'm good. I can keep going with my day. It really leads to a lot of arguments between two people that see life very differently. Even in so-called customer service, this is valued. The time of someone is highly valuable. It's a commodity here. The time of the customer, the time of the employee, the time of everyone, to be fair, is something to be respected. And why waste time with little small talk? I get messages from foreigners that work with Polish people, and they tell me that this is a really difficult thing to deal with, because it's very hard to disassociate yourself from a feeling of negativity when somebody is just putting on that type of vibe towards you. But to the Polish person, they're just being normal. They're being professional. We're here to work. I'm gonna answer you with, the minimum amount of words and sentences so that you can get going with your work and I can get going with my work. And after, when we meet, for our drink, then we're gonna laugh. I'm gonna be happy and we can talk about anything you want. But at work, it's work. So don't waste my time or yours. And then we have the wedges situation. In Poland, salaries are not so high, especially salaries that are in the service sector. Somebody working in a phone company or somebody being a clerk of a żabka. They're not gonna have high-paying jobs. And also, in Poland, there's not a culture of tipping, which is interesting. Because, for example, in the US, it's very common for you to tip the person that just served you. In Poland, that is not really, you see a price and that's what it's gonna cost you, that's what you're gonna pay. You can stand up and you can leave. And nobody's gonna look at you weirdly or give you the stink eye because you didn't tip them well. But at the same time, this also kind of like sets a certain mood. And the mood is that the person that is serving you, for example, let's say a waiter or a waitress, they know that they're gonna get their salary at the end of the month. They just have to deliver the food and that's it. They don't owe you a smile. They're not competing for your approval. They're not trying to get you to think better of them so that you can tip them. And again, it's a little bit of that dichotomy and that difference between, do you want to be served a certain way even though you kind of know that it's fake, they are just after your tip, or you're like, hey, you know what, it's okay. It's okay. It's an exchange of goods and an exchange of services. You serve me, you treat me nice, I will tip you, and I will have a good time here when I'm gonna enjoy whatever it is that I am enjoying with my family or my friends. But undeniably, the fact that in Poland salaries are not so high, it affects the mood of people. It affects how people feel when they go to work every day. And I gotta tell you, it's also very difficult from the perspective of the employee when they have to also put up with people that are not as nice. Which leads me to the next point. It's what I call the gift that keeps on giving. It's not easy for a person working in a business here in Poland because let me tell you, there are a lot of rude customers. I don't know if it's that they feel entitled, because I don't really associate Polish people with entitlement. I think that they are just grumpy. They go, and the way they speak to some of these employees is just pitiful. Let me give you a real life example. Very recently, I was at the physiotherapist, and there was a lady there that had an appointment, I believe at 1 o'clock, but it was 5 minutes past 1. And the therapist came out, who was like a younger professional. And she said very kindly, and I believe with a somewhat of a smile, she said, "Proszę pani, przepraszam." And she explained to her that, you know, she would have to wait 3 or 4 minutes more because she was preparing the room. And the way that this woman spoke to the therapist, and her face and everything, she was like, "Hey, it was supposed to be at 1 and what, I have to wait even longer now?" She was extremely rude. And I even told the therapist later on, I said, "Wow, she was really mad." And she's like, "Yeah, sometimes they are not nice." And this here happens very often. So the question that I ask now is there hope for Poland or for the people living in Poland when it comes to customer service? My observation shows me that this new generation, the younger people, they are different. They are pushing the boundaries of what it's like to be Polish. They are pushing the boundaries on the things that have traditionally been accepted here in Poland. Now, having said that, they are not entirely different. There are a lot of Polishness in them. There's a lot of grit. But there is a change. I've noticed it. Going to different places, the younger the person, the higher chances you have of somebody just giving you a more pleasant treatment. Granted, they're not gonna go out of their way to smile, because just smiling here, just out of the blue, is not a common thing. But they're not gonna be so crass. They're gonna be more understanding. They're gonna answer a couple more questions before they snap at you. That makes me feel good. Because I think you can be real, you can be honest without feeling fake and still treat a customer right. I hope that Poland will catch up when it comes to its customer service and the treatment that we give to others, especially when they're strangers. I really hope that it's gonna catch up with how far Poland has come when it comes to other sectors, like economy, like technology, like innovation. I think there is hope. Boom! That's all, guys. That's the end of this episode. I hope you liked it. Please, I am really curious. What do you think about Polish customer service? And most importantly, give me some stories, some funny stories. Put them in the comment section below. I really want to read some of them because let me tell you, I think most foreigners, for example, living here, and even Poles, have some stories to tell. My wife sometimes comes to me and tells me like, "Oh my God, how freaking rude this person was." And I'm like, you see? You see what I have to deal with? Guys, see you on another episode. Do widzenia.